a percentage of the book sales is set aside as the construction fund. This is how Prabhupada set up the BBT. And the construction fund was really Prabhupada's, ISKCON's development bank. It's where we got the low interest loans, and that money went in for purchasing temples and renovation. And much of it now, most of it, has gone into, recently, within the last 10 years, into the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. So how much roughly has the North American BBT given in the last 10 years? I know a couple years it was close to $250,000.
Yeah, that was about 4 years solid. Previous to that, it was probably in the area between 250.
So the BBT has given a couple $1 million over the last 10 years to build this Temple of Vedic Planetarium. I mean, that is an amazing thing. Literally every book that's distributed is a brick for Mayapur. So I thought it would be worthwhile to show you the fruit of that. So this is not Photoshop. This is not, this is the temple. This is not computer animation. This is the temple as it is. Okay, next. So this is for fun. These are the early days. Right here. Well, that doesn't. Let's try this. There we go. So this is where Prabhupada first stayed. It was just rice fields. And this is where Prabhupada stayed. And he came out with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, because Tamal had just arranged for purchasing the land. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and they had the Utsav Radha Madhava deities. So the roof leaked. And they put Radha Madhava on the side that didn't leak, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Prabhupada stayed on the side that leaked. And when they woke up in the first morning, the first night out there with Radha Madhava, Prabhupada said, Tamal Krishna Maharaj told me this personally. Prabhupada said to Tamal, "You snore." Tamal said, "I don't snore." Prabhupada said, "How do you know? You were sleeping." Tamal said he had a point. So this is where Mayapur started. Now the first building, this is the Lotus building. This is the first building. And maybe Sravas Prabhu, Archit, I don't know, some of us were there. The first Mayapur, 1972, 70, whatever it was. We stayed in this building, which was an unfinished construction site. Everybody got sick. Everybody, and I, I don't know. I need a clock that I can see. No, I can't see it. I qualified it, a clock that I can see. Yeah, I gotta push buttons. Anyone have an? Oh, there we go. Oh, I thought you were pushing that. I can see. At least now. Anyway, I don't want to go too far afield, but just to give an example. And you can see Prabhupada would walk in these rice fields. There's little, divisions of the field where you hold the water, and Prabhupada would go on walks in those. So we were covered with mosquito bites. We were sleeping in a construction site. We'd go out. The British saying, no one goes out in the noonday sun but a mad dog and an Englishman. And we would go out and chant and dance and drop dead from sunstroke after a day or two. So we were, struggling. The prasadam was a lump of rice that they managed to, it would be raw on the top, mush in the middle, no individual grains, all the starch had just, and burnt on the bottom. I don't know exactly how you do that. I mean, that's a special skill. So it was that, it was dal that was super spicy. No vegetables, went through you like a bullet. And dessert was they had a big lump of gourd, that raw, and it would be black, and they'd wave off the flies and break off pieces, and that was your. So this is the scene. The devotees were on a morning walk with Prabhupada. It was this year, and this was the only building. You can hear the morning walk. And Prabhupada says, devotees don't suffer. There's a long pause. Devotees are processing that. And then you hear Panchadevita Maharaj says, Prabhupada, if the devotees don't suffer, what exactly are we doing? Because it sure looked like suffering, And Prabhupada, because Prabhupada knew, Prabhupada left. This is the same year that Prabhupada thanked the devotees for coming, thanked the devotees for all their service, and then said, you've come here, I can't provide. Prabhupada said, I cannot even provide you cow's milk. And he began to cry. So there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears have gone into the Mayapur project. So just to know where it's coming, if you have any doubt that this is a spiritual movement, moving on by the grace of Krishna alone, and the mercy of Mahaprabhu, and the will of the previous acharyas, remember this little hut in the middle of the rice fields, and this the first building construction site. Okay, next. This is the Temple of Vedic Planetarium now. It's not Photoshop, that's the real thing. So this is, for those who don't know, this is the Temple of Vedic, this is the Radha Madhava are under this. This side is the planetarium and the displays, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And this side is the Lord Nrsimha wing. Okay, next. Just another angle. This is going to be a beautiful clock. You see those clocks in Germany where the bear comes out and plays a drum, and then the next thing is some guys with the whole thing. These three, this will all be Sankirtan party comes out. It'll show you the sun and the moon phases. It'll be one of those, like in St. Mark's in Venice, it's going to be one of those far out clocks. So next. This is Mayapur city. This is the Ganga. The Jalangi's over here, for those who know the scene. But that's the Temple of Vedic Planetarium that was built by Book Distribution and Ambarish Prabhu. And this is Prabhupada's Samadhi here. But it's becoming a city. Prabhupada said that they will reroute flights into Calcutta, so they fly over the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. And we already have people, Time Magazine, National Geographic. When is it going to open? When is it going to open? Next. Sham. Next. Oh, Krishna, help us. Has it jammed? Okay, thank you very much. And this is 50,000. The Prabhupada wanted a Vedic city laid out according to Vastu. And Vastu, there's all different sections where the Brahmins are, where the mercantile stuff goes, where the residential quarters are. But a Vedic city, the king's palace is usually right in the center. You know what's in the center of this outlay, master plan? Beautiful temple of Vedic Planetarium. Radha Madhava right in the middle. So it gives you an idea of the thing. This is where the current temple is, right here. This is the conch building. This is the lotus building. So it's becoming a city. Okay, next. Just a few more of these, and then we'll move into something else. Okay, next. Of course, beautiful Panchatattva will be in the center. Then will be Radha Madhava, and then the Lord Nrsimha. Next. Oh no, it'll go the acharyas. This side will be Prabhupada and all the previous acharyas, going all the way back to Lord Brahma. And in the center will be the Panchatattva, and the next altar over will be Radha Madhava. Next. This is that we're going to talk more about this. This is where the chandelier, Brihad Bhagavatamrita, where Gopa Kumar goes through all the different planetary systems and ultimately comes to the lotus feet, goes through, even through Vaikuntha and comes to Vrindavan, Radha Krishna. So this will literally be a sojourn of, this is a model of the universe from the 5th canto that actually works. And we're going to get into this, where this comes and how it works. But this is a portion of the size. It's being built now in Germany and Switzerland. But this, as it rotates, it'll predict eclipses, phases of the moon, the movement of all the different, it'll actually be a working model based on the 5th canto that lines up with all the astrophysicists and cosmologists are seeing now. It's accurate to that, but based on the Vedic principles. It will be profound. So, and Prabhupada wants it right in the center. We'll get into that in a second. And it'll start from the material world, and it goes all the way up through all the planetary systems, through the Brahmajyoti, through Vaikuntha, and lands at the lotus feet of Radha Krishna. So literally, it's like kinetic learning. The more senses you engage, the more you remember and the more it has an impact. They will literally be standing in front of Radha and Krishna and then see how the soul evolves, eventually by proper activity, all the way to the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, that's our real home. Next. And that's the end, just to give you a little overview of the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. Okay, what's the next one, chum? Should be about BI. Let's see. Okay. Now, BI means the Bhaktivedanta Institute. Have you ever seen, Prabhupada sent out a letter. I forget the year. It may say there somewhere. This is Prabhupada. Obviously, he's sitting with Rupanuga. This is Madhava. And this is Sariputta, the great genius. Sariputta had a PhD from Cornell in statistics. Yeah? Then he had another one from in theoretical physics. And smartest man I ever met, materially. Just a certified genius. I'm thinking about so many things I could say about Sariputta. But moved in to New Vrindavan, and they put him on the plow department, out digging, fence holes, and Sariputta, Kuladri Prabhu, who was the temple president, said he was the worst farmer he ever saw. Couldn't figure him out. Bhakti Rich, Richard Thompson, and he'd say that he'd be digging a hole, and they thought he was spaced out. But what was actually happening, he'd dig a hole, he'd throw the dirt, then he'd be figuring the trajectory of the dirt and the forces of gravity, and he'd be a hole, and they'd say, hey, Rich, back to the hole. Oh, okay, So, Prabhupada sent out a letter that said, if you have any PhDs or master's degree devotees in the hard sciences, we want to know. And every temple president was supposed to read this out and then send a list of those devotees. So Kaladri says he's there in New Vrindavan. Every temple president east of the Mississippi had the bus scheduled to Moundsville, West Virginia. And if you had somebody with just too much, you'd put him on the bus to New Vrindavan. Huh? Oh, one way, definitely. One-way ticket. Kaladri said that the station master at the Moundsville Greyhound bus had learned after a while what was going on. He called Kaladri up and says, I think we have another one of yours. You know, so that's who was. So Kaladri gets this letter, and even with a PhD or a master's, you think, yeah, right. But Prabhupada asked to do it, so he dutifully read it. Sadapusa raises his hand. Madhava Prabhu raises his hand. They had two masters and a PhD out there in the plow department. So that's the beginning of the Bhaktivedanta Institute. And Prabhupada said their mission was nothing small. Have you ever seen those, you know, everybody's seen, you got the YouTube clip or whatever it is, and you got the 3 skyscrapers lined up, 1, 2, 3, and they're demolishing the one in the middle, and they just, and it telescopes in on itself. You know, the other 2 buildings are fine, and that one telescopes in, the one in the middle. How do they do that? The way they do it is they get the structural engineering plans. And there's linchpins, there's points that hold stress and the weight of the building. You blow those out and the weight of the building will collapse on itself. So Prabhupada said there are conceptions that are running materialistic life. You know, life comes from matter, consciousness is just due to brain function. I mean, you can march down the line. You got Freud, you got, you know, and that's what's holding up this materialistic, mechanistic worldview. Everything's going on by chance. You blow those out, you defeat those, that worldview collapses, and you can replace it with the Vedic worldview. 99% of the people out there on the street have that material, and when we start talking to them, they think, yeah, you know, you're just like a flat earther, you know. But if you blow that out, nature abhors a vacuum, what will that worldview be filled with? And worldviews change. They used to think that, you know, hell's below, we're in the middle, heaven's above. There's so many. Over there, there's the age of Renaissance, you know, there's the Dark Ages, you know, things change. They thought World War I, you know, science is going to solve everything. It's the war to end all wars. World War II comes along, blows out all that. People become nihilistic. So my point is that worldviews change. The way people see the world and the values that support them. And Prabhupada took the bull by the horns, literally, and we are going to change their mechanistic, materialistic worldviews. And the BI was the tip of the spear for that. So that's the goal of BI. Next. So foundation. BI is an intellectual resource. This was the BI reporting to us because they get BBT, you know, funding from the BBT and to the GBC. Hey, this is what we're doing. So it's an intellectual resource for ISKCON outreach and in-reach to the devotees. Elevates the scientific and philosophical educational standards of our society. This is, you know, perfect questions, perfect answers. Brahma Tirtha. So this is young Brahma Tirtha, the Peace Corps worker. This is Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. This is our Sadaputa. This is Madhava. And I don't know who this devotee is. But here is, as a young man, and here he is, now speaking. He's the head of the Bhaktivedanta. There's several branches. So this is the Gainesville Bhaktivedanta Institute. Next. There's only a few more of these, but I want you to, because it's the foundation of something. This is the BI headquarters on the campus of Gainesville. This used to be the house of the president of Florida. What is it? Is it the University of Florida in Gainesville? Go Gators. So that's now our headquarters, right on the college campus. Next. Subject groups. These are the different things that they're preaching on. Modern and Vedic cosmology, mind-brain consciousness studies, biology and evolution, and the Sridham Mayapur, the displays. We've got one of the heroes, our Druta Karma here. We'll get to that in a minute. Next. Sham. Okay, here's the team members. Look at this. Here's Brahmatirtha. He's got a master's, I think, in geology. This is Akandati, who's a genius. We'll talk about that in a minute. Look at this guy. PhD in physics, PhD in astronomy, master's in physics, and this guy's a PhD in physics. That's a solid crew. Next. They are putting on cutting edge, just taking there's different categories that they're working on, and then there was mind consciousness. You know, is it just brain function? Or is there actually, there's a see, I'm just trying to think what to filter out because of time. The general conception in science was that all the brain is a sophisticated computer. And if you get to a certain level of sophistication, bring, consciousness will develop. The further they work on AI, the more they realize we're just getting zeros and numbers here, zeros and ones, pluses and minuses. We're getting how from the smell of a rose, you can smell it, and how does that go through all the way through the brain to the emotional experience of that? How do you sense the color orange? How do you, what is actually experiencing pain? There's a guy at UCSD, one of the best hard science schools in America. He says you shouldn't say, I feel pain. The whole problem is language. What you should say is, I feel my C fibers firing. You hit your thumb with a hammer. Are you going to say, oh, I say, my C fibers are firing? That has nothing to do with the experience of pain. And they can't figure, I swear to you, they don't have the first, that's a whole other presentation I can make. They don't have the first step for understanding emotion and how things go from the, anyway, I don't take up too much time. So they are doing conferences on mind and brain function. Because here's the thing. You ever seen, what was it, the periodic table? It's got all the elements on it, you know? They're saying that consciousness can be broken down into electrical impulses and chemical reactions. But they can't, they don't have the first step of how to prove that. And we are saying, and out at John Hopkins, you know, at so many different places, top universities, University of Chicago, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, there's a percentage of those in the field of artificial intelligence. It used to be 0. Now it's about 10% that, hang on a minute, consciousness is an irreducible element. It's something that exists in experience. It's not caused by chemicals. It's not the creation of, the reaction of. It is something that exists as an irreducible factor. And once you establish that, then that there's a soul, and that there can be karma and reincarnation, and that there's higher dimensions, the whole thing opens up. Like I said, like the building collapses. Once they prove that, and it's gradually becoming an accepted fact. It's just beginning. But that's the BI is on the cutting edge. Next slide, I think. Well, here, look. Here's some, University of Virginia, Stanford, it has all these different, they are giving conferences with the participation of professors at top universities discussing, wait a minute, consciousness is not just brain function, electrical impulses, and chemical reactions. So they're actually doing what Prabhupada wanted. They're actually, Judakaram, I remember him saying at a BI meeting, we have to, at a meeting with the GBC, he said, we have to determine, is the BI, are we the tea party? You know, you go and be pleasant and hope they don't ask any deep questions. Are we the Sankirtan party? It's a great line, and all the GBCs, all right, give them funding, you know. So they're actually doing what Prabhupada wanted. Next. Why this matters, I'll show you. See here, Mind, Brain, Consciousness Conference. And you can see, if you can see the names, all these participants are either devotees or top professors around the world. So it's becoming a respected research institution at the highest levels of academia. Next. This is the Science of Consciousness. This is another conference they're doing. Okay, next. And I think we can go fast. Next. Training the next generation of ISKCON teachers and so that our devotees and kids that go to our schools and our devotees who get trained up, you know, preaching in the field, can talk and convincingly with evidence on this level. Because our mission is to change the world view. Prabhupada said, my disease is I cannot think small. So, and it's happening. Next. I think that's it. Yeah? What's up, Sham? Okay, next. We can move on. Okay, if you have any, you can contact them. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is where the Temple of Vedic Planetarium meets with the BI. Because, all right, we're building a building that scientists, philosophers, professors from around the tour groups, they're already asking about. We're going to bring all of these people. We're going to show them the Bhagavatam view. Oh, this is not, there's another, where's the one on the displays? MOVP. That's the one we want. This, we're going to show this one at the end. This is the best part. I have an 8-minute clip of the opening of the Nishringa wing, and it's blissful. What's the time? Okay, we're okay. So where is it? That's what we want, the Science of Museum. We're going to have thousands of people a day coming through this Temple of Vedic Planetarium. They're going to take Prashadam, they're going to hear Kirtan, they're going to see the beautiful deities. But what's the substance? We're ready to go? Okay, next. One of the wings is the planetarium, which will show, you know, those, what do you call those? You know, with the 3D, with the dome, those, what is it we call it? No. No, you know, you get the movie and you can feel yourself going down the waterfall and, huh? Yeah. Anyway. No. Yeah. A dome. Somebody. We got one brain here. Thank you. So welcome back, Drew. So it's a dome theater, and like you can go to the Rubin, whatever it is, planetarium, and you can fly through the cosmos. You experience like you're right in there. So with multi-cameras. So the Vedic Planetarium will take themes. I mean, you can. sail down the Himalaya, the Ganga, and see all the different holy places. You can understand karma. You can transform your body. All this stuff will be different films that will show. But also, there's going to be displays, and this is how that's going to work. How do you take somebody from mechanistic worldview, and how do you process them so that through different well-planned steps and displays, they wind up understanding that we're not the body, that there's things are not happening by chance, that there's a spiritual dimension that is not the unlimited. To be unlimited has to be formless. No, that there's a spiritual dimension. How do you actually have people walk? Like you can put the raw ingredients. My brother worked at a Hunt's canned tomato factory. And you got the tomatoes go in, and at the end of the thing, they come out as the canned goods ready to go. So what is that process? How do you take intelligent people, and even not so intelligent people, from around the world, and they walk in the door, and they walk out at the end being convinced that the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is science and practical and the truth? That's no small accomplishment. And that's what this planetarium, the TOVP, is designed to do. This is how, and this is what BI is working on, to create those displays and that experience so people at the end will believe that the Bhagavatam is not something their grandmother told them or fantasy or wishful thinking, but it's the truth. We're not meant for small things. Next. So, religion without philosophical basis, without scientific basis, is sentiment. That religion based on philosophy and science, that is right. Next. So that's our purpose of the museum. Dynamic relation. So the BI team, and you'll see Judikarma in some of these pictures, they are developing those displays so that somebody from Stanford, somebody from Harvard, a cosmologist can say, well, hang on a minute. Oh, I saw Sariputta in action one time, and I've seen Judikarma in action. Just slice and dice these guys. We had a professor, just because we got a few minutes. He came, Prakasananda Saraswati, some of his followers, met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and went from being dry impersonalists to devotees chanting and dancing and like that. So Prakasananda Saraswati met with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You know the story. And the goal was to, shape him up from being a sentimentalist sannyasi to a real Vedantist. Because we know how the thing ends. He became chanting and dancing. So this at UCSD, we had once a week, every Thursday on the college campus, we'd had a program. And some of the kids came, the students came, and had a great time. And, well, that makes sense, and So they reported that back to their professor. So their professor came, not unannounced. He's the top guy down there in whatever it is. And his mission was to debunk, this Hare Krishna sentiment, prehistoric, wishful thinking, and save his students from this romanticized vision of the world. Now, by Krishna's grace, on the day that professor came, Sariputta was speaking. And the professor said, well, this is, all based on this, and it's been disproved by this, and so-and-so's law of this, and this disproves that. Sariputta said, that research work is about 15 years old. And if you were actually up on your game, you'd know that this has been disproved by that, and this professor says that, and this says that, and this proves that. And you watch the guy, like if you punch somebody, he was like, Well, people say that. He recovered. And said, well, this and this and this and this and this and that proves this. Sariputta says, no, you've completely misunderstood the meaning of that paper. It actually means, and you watch the color drain out of the guy's face. And he thought, oh my gosh, I'm being defeated by a Hare Krishna. How is it possible? You know, PhD, piled higher and deeper, or prominent humility disorder. You know, there's different. I mean, we're not anti-education. Of all the sampradayas, the 4 sampradayas, the Brahma Sampradaya is most famous for its scholarship. But we're in for real scholarship. And the BI makes that seamless combination of Vedantic principles and modern science. So that's what they're meant to do. Ultimately, here's the killer. The guy, you know, as he was being, it was like a boxing match. And he actually started feeling sorry for the professor because he was being, the floor was being mopped, you know, but he was just, and then he's looking at his watch. He said, oh, I have to go, but I'll be back. I'll check my points. We never saw that guy again. So that's what they're meant to do. And BI is creating those displays, the Bhaktivedanta Institute. Next. And here's the team. Next. What? This is the end of the other one. Okay, go ahead. Next. Okay. Review of the exhibits. Because they're reporting to the GBC what's going to be in the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. We're going to sign off on those displays. And devotees have different ideas, you know, the GBC members. We're fine-tuning it, and we're funding it by Krishna's grace. Okay, next. The museum design ideas and layouts from the museum design company. You know, if you ever go to have you ever been to Salt Lake City and gone through the Mormons tour? It's excellently done. It's rubbish. It's perfuming a dead rat. But the point is, it doesn't make sense at all. But it's so powerfully done, you think, geez, it has an impact. So we want the same thing, but the truth. Okay, so next. So who will be coming to the museum? You have to know your target. What's your audience? You know, okay, where are these people at? Next. So there's skimmers, swimmers, and divers. There'll be people who are just, you know, they're tourists. They took a boat up the Ganga, and some luxury boat, and they're looking at it's a beautiful building. Okay. You've got some people like, you know, that understand a little bit about spiritual life and, you know, consciousness. And then you've got professors. It'll be a research institute. So they have to hit these 3 targets. Next. And people are going to be coming from around the world. They're already inquiring. We're going to be flooded with people. We've got to have solid content that can't be refuted. We can't just, next. Say that, whatever. Okay, so this is the visitor journey. What will they experience? Next. So these are the categories. These are the content themes. How can I know? How do I even believe this? How do I know what I know? Tat Sandarbha starts by Jiva Goswami. There's the seer, the seen, and the act of seeing. Okay, I know that. I know that I'm here, and I'm looking out. And I know that I see you, and I know there's the interaction. But beyond that, I'm not accepting anything on blind faith. And he builds from there. It's a whole story. So how do we even know what's true? How do we understand truth? So that's the first shot. Who am I? Am I the body? Am I the mind? Or am I consciousness? These are the different types of displays. What is life? Is it all chemical reaction? What is it? Where am I? What is this world? These are all the different displays that will become. And the ultimate result, where do I belong? If this is not my real home, if I'm a stranger in a strange land, where do I belong? So that's the progression. They're going to be moving those 3 types of visitors. Next. So how can I know? Life's big question. Ascending and descending knowledge. You know, is it all empirical? And you know, let me ask you a question. Here's the argument they throw out. Well, we stand on the shoulders of giants. Sure, birth, death, disease, and old age are the problems. Let's take disease. But we've made so much progress. People used to die of tuberculosis. People used to, you know, whatever it is. So we're building. Of course, they're creating as many diseases as they're building, and bubonic plague and tuberculosis, they're all coming back at us. They're being bred by, it's a whole story, but they're coming back at us. But even you accept that there's an evolution that we're building, and eventually, over enough time, we will figure out all the questions of the universe. Well, let me ask you this, and you can take the example of pole vaulting. You know, Olympics, boing, they're going to come back as grasshoppers or who knows, that's another story. But, you know, I don't know what the record used to be, but maybe, let's say 14 feet, you could pole vault, okay? Now they got fiberglass poles. They could pole vault up to 16 feet. They got, you know, special Nike shoes with jets on them or whatever, you know? Okay, they got up to 18 feet. I think they were up to 24 feet now. And that's the example that incrementally, by deeper pools of knowledge, add further research, we build on what the previous generation, and we add our part in the next generation. Eventually we'll figure out the secrets of the universe. It seems reasonable. Now, we've gone from 14 feet to 24 feet by pole vaulting. Anyone here think that we'll ever be able to pole vault to the moon? Anyone want to? Okay, you can make incremental advancement, but you're not going to get to the moon. So they are never going to figure out what's beyond their senses and the limitation. You can move incrementally, but you're never going to make the quantum leaps necessary to understand it. So how can I know? Here's ascending, descending knowledge, the Vedas, Parampara, modern context. So they will take them through those steps. You get the three blind men, you know, feeling an elephant. It's a pillar, it's a, you know. So what do we actually, I was in Prabhupada's room and a man kept saying, well, as far as I know. Well, Swamiji, as far as I know. After a couple times, Prabhupada said, that's my point. How far do you know? Next. So who am I? Am I this body? Am I just, and there's many layers of this self. There's the emotional self. There's our, where do we fit in society? How do, you know, there's so different. What is the real self? When I say self, what do I mean? So this will go all the way through to understanding that the soul is an eternal spiritual spark of consciousness. Next. And what is life? You know, there'll actually be a section that you can see, you can put your face and put activities, and it'll show you what kind of body you're going to get. You can do some far out stuff. So that, I mean, you can take with Atma in all bodies, life comes from life, issues with evolutionary theory, how life appears on earth. I mean, these are key questions. And we're going to, karma and samsara, and we're going to have scientific, provable, based on the Vedas. And there'll be displays that are experiential. Next. It'll blow people's minds. And where am I? That's, you know, you've got that chandelier showing the evolution through all the different planetary systems. I mean, you read Bhagavatam, read the 5th canto Bhagavatam. I saw somebody say, I don't understand. Well, I mean, I don't even know what's happening on the other side of this door. I can't find my way to the whatever it is without a GPS and a Boy Scout with a compass. I can't. Oh, I don't understand. That's the criteria. The little ant here crawling along They have no idea that we're sitting here having this conversation. They have no idea. So the fact that we don't know how to explain and how to break them out of that bubble, that everything is subordinate to our sense perception. And where are we? Okay, next. And then the last thing is, where do I belong? This will take them all the way from the material world as a reflection of the spiritual world. And what is the nature? As soon as you say form, then it means limited. Well, what about an unlimited form? Well, you know, if you say that the absolute can't have a form, you're the one limiting the absolute. I'm not limited by saying the absolute has form. We understand, Christians, you know, what is it? Brahmaneti, Paramaneti, Bhagavaneti, Shabdyate, that the absolute can be realized on 3 different levels: the impersonal, the super soul, and the Archa Vigraha, you know, the Vigraha, Krishna's form. So they will, okay, if it's not this world, then what is it? This is where you belong. Unless we understand, language is the manifestation of the consciousness of that particular society. For example, the Eskimos have, I don't know how many words for snow. There's dry snow, there's wet snow, there's this type of snow, because that's they're explaining their experience. If you go out to the desert, the whatever it's called, you know, the Sahara, whatever, there's so many different types of sand, because that's their experience. Language is expressing their experience. Think about it. It's always darkest before the dawn. Got to take the bitter with the sweet. Every cloud has a silver lining, because if this is all there is, then you got to make the best of it. So you just, but what happens when you know there's something else better? Then you want to go there. So unless they understand the spiritual world and the nature of the spiritual world and a relationship with Krishna, what's the impetus to give up the small potatoes of this world? Well, it's not so bad. But what if it's better? What if there is a spiritual world? What if there is a kingdom of God? What if there is a sweet Prabhupada said, like lightning and illumination occurs simultaneously. From Narada Muni, you know, the death and the liberation for self-realized soul. Like lightning and illumination occurs simultaneously. I heard him say it. Prabhupada said, it's like waking up from a dream. Time of death for the pure devotee, which we've got the process to obtain, you'll open your eyes, you'll be in Krishna Loka, Krishna and the coward boys will be coming over the hill, and Krishna will say, come on, and you'll just fall in and off you go, according to whatever your rasa is. But unless you know that's the goal, how do you have the determination for purification? So it's the essential question, where do I belong? So next, I think we're done. Oh, this is the timelines. I think we'll skip over it because of the time factor. The point I'm trying to make, the point they're making, is that these are the cornerstone existential questions that every person who's got a brain is thinking about. And we're answering them and moving them from, you know, the materialistic, mechanistic, you know, stimulus response, live fast, leave a good corpse, and plant me under a tree, I'll make good fertilizer. That idea of life. To the idea that, wait a minute, I'm not this body, there's a spiritual world, I don't belong here. We have a devotee in San Diego, his name is Bhaktivatsal. I'll finish in a few minutes, we'll show this 6-minute clip of the opening and we'll be done. And the Bhaktivatsal owns a bunch of hotels. He used to be not a devotee. Devotees came with a Motel Gita to, you know, give them Gitas. And, you know, he was a pious Indian, but he didn't have time to deal with all. He'd shoot him off. And devotee said, well, let me just leave you a couple copies. You put them in your motel. They'd already been paid for. You put them in your motel, and you see what the response is. He said, I would put them on the counter. So the desk clerk put a few of them in. It's a true story. Happened about 5 years ago. You know, put a few, in a couple rooms. Now, interestingly enough, many people who commit suicide check into a motel or a hotel. Believe it or not, they don't want to leave a mess at home. The people are thinking like that. So they check into a motel. It's not uncommon. People die in a motel. This guy checks in at the front desk. He's self-absorbed, he's miserable, he's surly. He said, yeah, I got a reservation here, give me my key. All right, fine, take him in. So he goes to his room. His intent was to commit suicide. He shuts all the windows, puts a towel on under by the edge of the door, so it's hermetically sealed. Turns out the pilot light, cranks up the heater full. He's going to commit suicide. And he said he was thinking, I don't want to change my mind. So, in the 8 minutes that it takes to pass out and die, I'll read something. Pulls open the desk drawer. There's Bhagavad Gita. Hey, he doesn't know Bhagavad Gita. He said, let me read it. He starts reading the thing. And by the time he got to the 3rd chapter, he said, wait a minute. He said, I'm not crazy. This world is crazy. I saw a bumper sticker the other day that said, if you're not paranoid, you have not been paying attention. There's somebody who's got it right, So he became so absorbed, so convinced that, wait a minute, there's a reason why I'm feeling like this. There's a reason I feel like a stranger in a strange land and alienated. It's not me. It's the situation I'm in and the way I'm going at life. And I have a false set of expectations. I'm supposed to be titillated at every moment. So, shuts off the heater, opens up the window, spent the whole night reading Bhagavad Gita. The desk clerk, the one he'd been so surly with, he said, I'm so sorry, I apologize. And he said, one thing is, can I take this book with me? And he took the Bhagavad Gita with him. It literally saved the man's life. And that kind of thing is happening. I mean, you know it already, but that's what we're about. We're meant to change the world, and it's working. And when this Temple of Vedic Planetarium opens, it is going to be a mind blower. And it's what the Acharyas want, and it's what Srila Prabhupada wanted. Okay, let's show. We can skip this. Let's show, because that's we can skip. Let's show that little clip, and we'll be done. This is the opening of the Nrsingavi, Lord Nrsingadev. And let me just say this. I got another set of things like this that we'll do tomorrow, and we'll finish up. But it's things that are happening around the world that will be very mind-blowing. And you are part of that. Sometimes devotees get cabin fever. We're all, we're in the same people, in the same place, and this guy's driving me nuts, and how come I got to do this? And people say, I have to do RT. You don't have to do RT. You can go home to your mother, or do whatever you're going to do. We get the golden opportunity. So we have a reason, we have a legitimate reason to be proud. It's not arrogance. Sudam asked Prabhupada here at the LA airport, if you ever were where Prabhupada arrived in an airport, man, the devotees just took over. The whole place changed. It was just, it was an amazing experience. So Sudama was walking with Prabhupada, arriving, 10 madungas, 15 pairs of kartals, distributing prasadam, distributing books, throwing rose petals, sprinkling flowers. I mean, you know, people are, what the? I was standing next to the guy when Prabhupada arrived at an airport in Detroit, one of those big Detroit cops. The guy said, who the hell's that? He's glowing. You know, it was an amazing scene. So Sudam said to Prabhupada, you know, Prabhupada, sometimes when I'm walking with you, I feel proud. Is that Maya? Prabhupada said, no. It's not arrogance. We don't feel ourselves, we think there, but by the grace of God go I. But Prabhupada said, we can be proud that by the grace of my spiritual master, I'm no longer a fool and rascal. So you should be proud, not arrogant, not, you know, and I'm sorry to say it, you know, what is it, Revelations, and you're sitting on the right hand of God, but that's not complete. You can't just be enjoying. The rest of the people have to be suffering. What's it, Schadenfreude or whatever it is, you know, the happiness and other people's suffering. You have to be sitting at the right hand of God and hearing the gnashing in teeth and the wails of people in hell. Because that's Revelations at the end of the Bible. And you're thinking, hey, sorry about you, you know, but I made it. That's not the Vaishnava spirit. Vaishnavas, so we're not talking about arrogance, but we're talking about a quiet confidence that I did the right thing with my life, and that Krishna consciousness is moving the world. The worldview is changing. We're not meant for small things, and it's happening. And you should be confident and proud that you're devotees. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Anybody who helps keep the wheels turning, Prabhupada used to say, is important in the railway system. An army runs on its stomach. You know, if you don't get enough nice prasadam, you can be having a rough day, your bad dreams, your mind, and you walk in and see the deities, you think, it's all going to be all right. So, and the devotee who, you know, labored long and hard to dress the deities beautifully, all of that matters. If somebody doesn't pay the bills, we're all at play in the hand of God, and nobody's paying the gas and electric bill. Well, guess what when the lights go out? So whatever role we're playing, we should know that we're pushing forward the real salvation of the world, and it's happening. So with that as a setup, this should just take 6 minutes, so we'll show this and be done. Okay. Take it away, Shyam. Okay. And we got the, where's the sound? Oh, you got to have the sign. Stop. Stop, stop, stop. Where's the sound? Where's Archita? Yeah, we got to have the sound. And the devotees have been sitting patiently, and I'm up against prasadam. So I know that I can only hold you so many more minutes. I mean, we can show it without the sound, but it's much more moving. Anticipation gives rise to great satisfaction, Chanakya Pandit says. So there's a little anxiety, will it come? When it comes, it makes it even richer. If it comes. Well, I told Archit, if this doesn't work, I'm going to kill myself. So maybe there's a conspiracy here. We're going to finally get rid of the old man. Okay, well, the sound. Oh, Krishna. Stop it. Go back to the beginning, and we need sound. Well, we'll give it a few more minutes. What we'll do, here's what we'll do. If they don't get it in the next minute, not to add any pressure, we'll fix it and we'll show it tomorrow. Because I don't want to show it without the sound, and we're late. So Archer, did we give up? Huh? We're getting there. Death's also coming. Just now coming. Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all so very much for supporting this project and delivering this dream to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada.
That was Alfred Ford Ambarish Prabhu.
Lord Nrsingadev is coming. Lord Nrsingadev is coming. And Lord Nrsingadev is coming. Garjantam garjayantam nijabujapatalam shopahyantam hadantam dipyantam tapayantam divividitam shepayantam shipantam krandantam roshayantam dishi dishi sayatam samharantam barantam vikshantam dhurnayantam karanikara sathai divya simmam namami. This is Lord Nrsingadev. He will be roaring today when we open his wing, protecting all of us so that the Sankirtan movement can be spread in every town and village.
And we are once again so very grateful that you come, not only supported us through everything, but come to celebrate this wonderful moment in history. So thank you very much. Shri Prahlad Nrsingadev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vaishnava ki jai.
Jai Jagadish Hare
All right, Prabhus. That's the movement we're part of. Hare Krishna. So I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same station. And we've got a few more things. Don't worry. Hare Krishna.